I learned that after this episode, the situation is situated, that there are so many women who have things have fallen apart after kids and menopause and whatever the situation is that gets you there. I think the most important thing we can do as we age is understand how to embrace loss of collagen, loss of hair, loss of ass height, loss of people,
loss of relevance,
loss of things, loss of relationships, loss of your kids when they go off to college or whatever it is. Like, you have to find a way to adapt and adopt new mechanisms.
Welcome back to the Flexible Neurotic podcast. We're doing something fun, something different today. I always talk about stepping out of your comfort zone. So today is going to be my first in-person film of this podcast. I have an amazing guest today, a friend, a podcast host, a writer, a model, Wendy Euler.
Hello.
So excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me. It's so good to be here.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're going to talk about Goodbye Crop Top, your midlife platform. And you and I, midlife team here.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about your upcoming projects. We're going to talk about just kind of the midlife rebuild. When you and I met, we were at an event, another midlife event, and somehow we started talking about the midlife vagina. I mean, if you know me, there's always going to be some kind of reference to the midlife vagina. And as teen daughter and teen son would say, fucking TMI. Right?
Yes.
But I just kind of feel like the midlife vagina is so much a part of this journey. This whole episode is not going to be about that, but you and I had this kind of funny, interesting conversation about how you built your midlife rebuilt.
Yeah.
Your vintage vagina. And I was like, oh my God, we have to talk about that on my podcast.
Vagina, yeah.
And so we have been planning, trying to get you here.
Yes.
You're from Montana. You're living in Montana.
Yeah.
It's fucking freezing there. Welcome to LA.
Thank
We're
you.
a little toastier here.
Yeah.
Even though it is winter. I'm still sweating. Are you sweating?
I always sweat when I'm in this situation.
God, I feel like I even put on like all cotton denim on denim to like soak up all the extra moisture. So
lots of sweat in the midlife. Woo. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about, let's start with that, since it's kind of the edgiest, the kind of topic that most people don't talk about.
Okay.
I know you have your podcast called Cropped, a Midlife Minute. It used to be called Goodbye Crop Top.
Yeah.
And now you have changed it over to a short format, which I love for the midlife brain. It's like, okay, I have 8 minutes.
Exactly.
Say what you gotta fucking say.
Brush your teeth, put on your serum, you're done. Yeah.
Mine's like the opposite. Mine's like 15 hours. It's like you have to listen to it in three parts.
There's room for both. We need all of it. So
I love it.
Yeah.
So I listened to your episode on your podcast. The situation is situated.
The situation is situated.
Whereas I would have just been like, the midlife vagina. Let's talk about
the vintage vagina.
The vintage vagina.
Yeah.
So tell us kind of how you got your vintage vagina, how you recognized that was not, quote, normal, and how you decided to fix it. Because I think there's so many of us out there who are like, wait, me too.
Right, for sure. And I learned that after this episode, the situation is situated, that there are so many women who have, things have fallen apart after kids and menopause and whatever the situation is that gets you there. But I personally had 3 babies, 3 daughters, and 21, 19, and 9 they are now, but so one much later in life at 46. And that last one coming through, I call it the watermelon through the straw. Wow. That last watermelon that came through the straw really did some damage. First of all, you're not supposed to be having a baby at 46. So there's so much my body's probably just like what is happening? But so it really was just something that always just never felt right, in yoga pants, walking down the street. And it was absolutely as I said on my podcast, when the guy says, "Did you watch your baby come out?" And he's like, "No, dude, that's like watching your favorite pub burn down," right? And take that for what you will,
Yeah.
tongue in cheek. But it's kind of true. I had this like mangled situation down there, and
So you could see that it didn't look the same as it used
didn't
to.
feel the same. It didn't look the same. So it wasn't only aesthetic; it was the whole situation down there. It just didn't feel good.
So how long did you sort of feel like, oh my God, there's something not right here?
Yeah, well, I think you feel that way after a child in general. I don't know about everyone
else.
But
C-sections.
yeah.
So I had different issues.
Okay.
But my parts are together.
Yeah. Well,
they may not be moist, but they're together.
Well,
I'm working on that.
There's stuff for that.
I know. No, I have vaginal estrogen. Are you kidding?
Oh, good. Yeah.
I put that shit in twice a week.
There you go. That works. Whatever works. It's such a personal thing. And so it actually took me a really long time to talk about it because I just was like, should I not? And then and my editor for the podcast that, co-writes with me and edits my stuff just said, you're not doing what you set out to do if you don't talk about this, because you say this is one of the greatest things you've ever done and you're not going to share that, and it really dawned on me that she's right? I have to be really, that's right. And talk about the uncomfortable things and some of the private things. And so I decided to do something about it. And I went in, so there's, vaginal reconstructive surgery. It's vaginoplasty, and then there's labiaplasty. So there's one that's internal and one that's aesthetic and external. And I went in for the first one, and for some reason in my mind, and probably me not listening, and I'm a pretty diligent person, especially when it comes to medical things, but I was just so excited to get this done. And I came out of the surgery and I'm like, oh my God. And I looked in the
yoga.
I'm going to wear the tightest little, whatever. And I look in the mirror and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, it looks the same, it looks the same. And I'm going, what happened? So I called the doctor and she said, Wendy, we thoroughly explained this to you, that this is 2 surgeries. You do this one first. You can do them all at once, but it's a lot on your body. And so, so I was like, okay, well, so that was fixed. And then 6 years later, I went back for the other portion.
6 years?
Where there were just fits and starts and canceled appointments. And I moved to Montana and my doctor's in Seattle. And anyway, so finally, I went back and had the next part done, and then it is just one of the, because I want to be clear. Like, everyone says to me, oh, aging gracefully and naturally and whatever and all that. Like, that doesn't mean I don't believe in taking measures to make yourself feel better or look better, whether it's that or whether it's Botox here because you have those really deep creases between your face. I support anything that makes a woman genuinely have a spring in her step and feel better. And this definitely put a spring back in my step and made me feel better. It just made me feel,
I'm
more
so
put
glad
together.
You said that, because I think part of my platform too is doing you, whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's like, I wear makeup, I do Botox, I do all those things. When I get gray hair, that's the one thing I don't have. My mom still doesn't have gray hair at 70. Oh, really?
Crazy. Yeah.
It's weird. I think it's like a genetic thing.
Yeah.
But I just feel like, as long as you're doing you and you're not judging other people for what they're doing, aging gracefully is just being happy in your own skin.
That's
and
right.
whatever it takes for you to get there and feel that way, and letting everyone else do their own fucking thing.
That's it. It's a feeling. It's an attitude. It's the way you treat people. It's the way you live. It doesn't. If you get Botox, it doesn't mean you're not aging gracefully. To me, maybe you can help me with this. I'm trying to think of a phrase that's better. I did an interview yesterday, and I keep saying, like, I don't care what you do. I don't pay attention. I don't care. But that sounds so awful. It's not that I don't care, but it's just like,
I just think of it as doing
let
you.
people be.
Choose you, do you, whatever that is, and don't judge other people for what they're doing. Like, don't be the carpool mom who's like, shit, she's wearing makeup in carpool. It's like, hey, if I want to wear makeup in carpool and I woke up 10 minutes earlier, why do you give a shit?
Yeah, and I think that the second you start judging and comparing, and those two go together hand in hand to me, but there's some, why are you doing that? That's what you really need to be
It's like high
questioning.
school's over.
Why do
Didn't
I
we already
care?
go through all that bullshit?
Why do I care? I really put my head down and stay in my own space. And I'm sort of going off the vagina now, but
No,
I
but
think
it
I
kind
think
of
this is
relates
important.
to all
Yeah.
areas of midlife.
I think and people have asked me, and I've said this before, but like, who are your competitors and who are you? I don't know. I don't look around. Like, I look at someone like you, Sarah, and I go, this is someone who I need to collaborate with, because the louder the voice gets, there's no competition.
No
I feel
competition.
zero. I feel happy when you can connect with other women and magnify and get the voice louder. It helps more people. And on my podcast in the beginning, especially when I had the long format and I was doing a lot of interviews, I asked a couple people and they said, no, I kind of consider you and I just thought, what on earth?
I'm like, bring them on, baby.
Who says
Yeah,
that?
because
And
it's a joint voice.
yeah.
And everyone has a different vibe, a
Yeah.
different flavor.
Yeah.
There are podcasts midlife podcasts that are more traditional, and they don't use the F-bomb every 5 seconds like me. They're not oversharing vagina stories, all the things. And there's so many listeners out there, and there's so many different voices in the midlife space that there's a voice for everyone.
Curate your own
And
space,
if I'm not
like
your
your
voice,
own world.
if you're not
That's
the
right.
voice, there's a million more, but get that information however you want it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I think, we're just too old to compare and judge anymore. We just are. And it makes things so hard, it makes your own life so hard when you waste any time doing that. And in this conversation I had yesterday, I just said, my life is now about round pegs, round holes. Round peg, round hole. Easy, ease. I am never going to try to jam something in a space or make something hard or talk about someone else, because I'm just done.
Yeah,
right?
It has to be easy. And it's interesting because I actually just put out an episode today, a solo episode, talking about, the title of it is Hard and Good.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of having a word for 2024, it's like a mantra for myself. It's reminding myself that things in midlife are hard and good.
Yes.
There are going to be things that are hard, but they're also good. Like, I hate lifting weights. I find it to be a pain in my fucking ass. I call them the dumb but necessary weights. It's hard for me to get myself to do it, but at the same time, it's good.
Yeah.
I know that it's good for my brain. I know that it's good for my bones. And marriage is hard, but it's good too. Parenting is fucking hard.
It's so hard.
But it's good.
It's the best.
So it's one of those things where it's like, we all have our hard and goods. And I love the idea of things being easy. And I try to live my life like that now too. It's like, if a podcast guest, if it's becoming impossible to schedule or to make something happen, I'm like, not worth it. Like, again, it's like round peg, round hole.
But part of the round peg, round hole is accepting that things are hard. It's not easy. I'm not painting the picture like, I wake up every day and fuck no. Like, my life is crazy, and I've had a particularly bad 2 weeks. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, everything's perfect as you age and whatever. The round peg, round hole is being comfortable with loss. Like, I think the most important thing we can do as we age is understand how to embrace loss of collagen, loss of hair, loss of ass height, loss of people,
loss of relevance,
loss of things, loss of relationships, loss of your kids when they go off to college or whatever it is. Like, you have to find a way to adapt and adopt new mechanisms.
Or you throw in the towel.
But so when I say round peg, round hole, I want to be really clear that it's hard and good. And when you accept that, and when you accept loss, your gain is tremendous.
Yeah. It's just the work that's involved. And that's the thing. It's like when people are like, what are your intentions for 2024? I'm like, my intentions, like to get through the fucking day.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, to not every day is this happy, glossy, fluffy day. Sometimes you wake up and you're like, I feel like ass. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like working out. I'm
Yeah.
super cranky. Like last night, my dog licked his paws all fucking night. And I kept hitting my husband, like, can you deal with this? And he's like trying, he puts a cone on him. The dog's panting. Shit happens.
Shit happens.
You know, and
Yeah.
especially like in this perimenopause, menopause time, so much of it is out of our control, like
Yeah.
the hormones, the psychology
You're out of your
of
skin.
it.
You're out of your
Out
brain.
of your
Yeah.
skin. But then at the same time, there's so many fabulosities too. And that's kind of what I talk about in my stuff is embracing the Uggs and the fabulosities of midlife, because this is that time for hard and good, like personal growth. You don't get growth without something being a pain in the ass most of the time. If it's easy, it's not worth doing.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. That's always the case. You know?
Always.
I mean, occasionally you get a little gift here and there, but yeah, I mean, you have to put in the work. And that's why, you know, some people are to me like, oh, must be easy for you and must be. No, I get my ass up and I work hard on every aspect of my life. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy. And that's why I don't get on my Instagram and go, look at me on my thing with my stuff and my, because that is not my life, you know? If you saw me day to day, yeah, you may not have invited me to come on this visual podcast.
Always, you're always invited.
But
no, I feel the same way. And I think that's why I think that with my platform, I've sort of gone into the relatability factor. It's like, yeah, I put on makeup. I try to pull my shit together 90% of the time. But then there's days where I'm like, I was in fucking pajamas all day today. I did not work out. I ate carbs the whole day. I did not hit protein goals and all this.
I can't be bothered. Like, how did we ever survive? How did people survive? How did George Burns survive? like, I bet he didn't hit his protein goals. You may not even know who he is, but yeah. But like, seriously, how did people ever fucking survive without their 9 million ounce Stanley Cup walking around? You know, like, God, back to basics, people. Like, back to basics.
It's hard and
simple.
I don't have, like, people will say, well, like, how do you stay looking so young? And how do you, I'm like, there's no fucking secrets. It's like, I work out when I can. I don't work out all the time. I drink as much water as I can tolerate, but I'm not going to like die over it. And I think for me, another mantra in my midlife journey has been, what's my good enough? What areas have I hit? You know what? This is good enough.
Yeah.
For
you, stop looking out.
Yeah.
Stop comparing yourself
I walked
to
on
like
a treadmill for 30 minutes. I didn't really break a sweat, but I got some steps in. I actually moved my body today. And I think kind of figuring out what your good enough is and what things you really want to excel in and test yourself and challenge yourself and push yourself outside of the box. But then other things you're like, okay, I'm good.
That's all. Stop comparing. Just look in. What feels good to you? And I wanted to touch on something you were talking about earlier, you know, about like happiness and this waking up every day and whatever. And I don't even say that anymore. Like, happy is fleeting, elusive, quite frankly. Here and gone. Happy moments, happy, right? Inspiration comes and goes. Motivation comes and goes. But what you can have every day, I really believe that is attainable, is peace. And somehow find peace. That is your thread. That is what you hold on to. When things get crazy, when things get messy, take a breath, go do a meditation. And, you know, and I'm so over the self-care and meditation and all this shit that's commodified now. And everything is just being thrown at us. And I think it's paralyzing. I think it's paralyzing the options that we have now. You've got to tune that out. Look inside, you know, like I said in this, one of my podcast episodes, which was called Fast Fashion for Your Face. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the commodification of everything. I'm tired of everyone preying on you, trying to make you feel more tired than you even are, or more sick. Like, just stop, take a minute, look in, get personal, you know. And do you need 64 multivitamins and 25 supplements? And no, again, how did people survive? They did, right? Like, go to your doctor, get your blood work done. Where are you deficient? Amp up, right? There, like, so it's just overwhelming to me. And I'm going off on a tangent now because I'm pretty fired up about this. But I think it's all tied into peace. It's all tied into living your own authentic life, living your own purpose, not someone else's. Like,
and like, it's like, even if you took like the spinning craze, I had so many friends who were spinning, and I'm like, okay, I did that once, and that was really uncomfortable for me, and my butt hurt, and it was too hard, and it was too loud on my nervous system. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. Just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean that I'm going to do that too. Like, for me, it's like walking on the treadmill. It's walking outside. It's low impact stuff.
Yeah.
Like, high impact stuff for me, because I'm already a high stress person, makes me more anxious.
Yeah.
So I have to pick things that work for my nervous system. And there's so much out there. It's like intermittent fast, don't intermittent fast, do this, do that. And I feel like that's kind of what I try to do in my podcast, and you do too. It's like, hey, you guys, there's so much information out there. Try a few things, see what works, stick with that, and just be okay. Like you said, be at ease, be peaceful, because there's always going to be something better. There's always going to be something newer, always going to be something different. And it's like, it never ends.
Yeah, it never ends. And in the midst of all this stuff being thrown at you and jammed down your throat, always go back to less is more. Less
but I
is
do
more.
like the
Fewer,
idea
better.
of taking action too.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh, okay, my vagina's hanging out. I have all this extra skin and stuff, and it doesn't look right, and it doesn't feel right, and I'm sure it didn't feel great.
No.
Like, and you just said, okay, I'm done with this, and I'm going to fix it.
Yeah.
So I think,
caveat, like, I'm lucky that I can afford to go do that.
Correct.
I get that. So, but I'm telling you, ladies, it's worth saving your shekels for this surgery. It's worth saving your shekels.
Going back to the vintage vagina, what was the process like for you? Like, I mean, was it painful? Was it quick? Like, what was the recovery? Because I know we didn't talk about that.
It was not that bad. So the first one, the internal part, you kind of have to sit on a donut for a couple days and no sex for 6 weeks. It's just like after having a baby or whatever. And then,
in midlife, you're like, okay, bye-bye.
No,
bye-bye sex.
It was not too painful at all. But I'm a good patient. I follow protocol. I do what's asked of me, and I, by the doctors, and I have a pretty high pain threshold, I think. But that was not bad. And then same with the labioplasty. It was like, it wasn't that bad. And I knew what the outcome was going to be. So I was so excited just to, get through it. But no, it's not that bad.
So you would say that it's helped you in terms of like how it aesthetically looks?
Like, I feel it right now, sitting here as we're talking about it. I'm like, this is good. This is different. I don't know. My underwear feel different. It's different. I actually want to buy cute underwear now.
Before, it was a lot of extra skin.
There's a lot of stuff going on down there. I called it my mangled starfish. I mean, my editor and I used to like fall to the floor laughing about it. She's like, well, what's it? I'm like, well, one side of it's purple and like dangly, and then the other's kind of intact, but it's like this thing, and then it's like cavern. I don't know. And it feels different. Look, that is the center of the universe, and it feels better.
And the sex, how's that?
Good. Better.
Better.
Lots better. And I think because you feel good about yourself too, and to that point, most of my responses from women, and there were a lot after this, who's your doctor, were women who were divorced or out of a relationship, who were wanting to date again and so terrified of taking their clothes off in front of a man again, because it's like, okay, I had 2 kids, and like, now I really want to say the right man or the right partner won't care. And I get all that, and that's true. But
you care.
I care. Like, the confidence it would give, and that, those were great conversations to have with these women. Like, I'm going back into the dating world. Do you think it would help? I said, 100%. If you can do this, go do it. you're going to be like, can I get you a glass of water? I mean, like, can I spring across the room and do it? Yeah, it's good. So, and I know my editor was right. I would have been remiss if I didn't talk about this because I know it's already helped at least a handful of women.
What was your hesitation in not wanting to talk about it? Like it was just, you felt like it was kind of private?
Yeah. And oddly, even though I put myself out there, I'm pretty private in a lot of ways. So,
speaking of
but I'm
privacy,
getting better.
Speaking of privacy, obviously social media has kind of taken over the world in so many ways. How do you feel about social media and how do you use it and how do you integrate it into your life and make it feel good?
Yeah, I love this question because having 3 daughters, 21, 19, and now 9 up and coming, wanting a phone every 10 minutes, and I'm like, you're not getting one. So it's been interesting monitoring that. And when I first started this, which is going on 7 years ago, my friend said, well, you have to have Instagram. And I was like, I'm never going to have Instagram. She goes, well, what, like, you think people are just going to wake up and know you're writing about midlife? Like, you've got to have Instagram. And that's ended up being a great tool for me. And I'm grateful for that. But for me personally, I'm extremely thoughtful about how I use it. And I have learned so much about it since I started this, about what works and what resonates and what, I can throw up I'm pretty visceral on there. I go by like, oh, today I feel like doing this. So I put it up. Or
yeah, me
this
too.
word.
People
I love
are like,
that.
do you have a social media plan? I'm like, no.
Same. And I've tried and I'm like, I fail. No. Can you put this on and do it? No, it pains me. I mean, so I'm really, and I've learned that those very visceral moments when I feel like this resonated with me, I'm going to throw this up and see it's like boom, 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 and starts conversation. And so I've learned to follow my gut with it. I think that's the most important thing, and not be contrived. I'm so tired of, I'm very disturbed by content on social media now, of people, and to each their own. And I sound like I'm judging now, but like, to me, it is not motivating for a woman in the Midwest who's trying to get her shit together or wherever else she is and trying to get her life back to see someone jumping off a mega yacht after they've had a really expensive bottle of champagne with their 90 million rich. Like, that to me is more toxic than anything for a woman who doesn't live that life, but has every capability and every capacity of looking in and finding her passion that she maybe had once in her life or something else. I'm not making very good sense here, but
no,
like,
you are. It makes sense. It's the haves and the have-nots.
It's like lives on show to me. That doesn't work for me anymore, and I don't want to be that. So I want to offer something that inspires you, whether it's words or a photo or whatever. And that's how I want to use social media. I've said no to 90% of all brand deals that have ever come my way because it doesn't feel good. I was just offered $1 gazillion to, and all the time they come in, boom, 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 can you, and my engagement's really high. I'm 100% women, 35 to 60. I have the deep pockets. I've got, so it's pretty desirable for brands. And I'm not meaning to toot my own horn here, but for example, I was just offered a deal from a hair removal device. I don't have hair. I'm not a hairy person, right? I just have like 3 hairs under I barely even have to shave. So, and we must have some of the same genetics here, the no gray.
I know. I'm like, I have like almost no body hair.
Yeah. And I'm like, and they wanted me to get in my feed and put a post up of how I remove my hair. I'm like, I don't have hair, And it was like 12 grand for a post. And I get that all the time. And I'm going, but I don't have hair. So I can't in good conscience, like, well, am I going to draw hair on me with a Sharpie and like try to do it? I mean, there are ways to do it. And then like, I've been offered a lot of like boxed hair color. Can you just pretend like you have grays and then like do it? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. And so, and beyond that, there's other good stuff and whatever. And I'm not saying I wouldn't do a very strategic, thoughtful brand deal. I would, but it would, I'm never going to sell out to that. I'm tired of that. That is disturbing to me when one week someone's holding up a cream that's the best in the world, and then the next week they're holding up, no, this is the best in the world. No, this is the best. And how is that believable?
Yeah, I know. I'm in the same situation. People are like, well, why aren't you accepting like this, and this? I'm like, because then I have to talk about it and I don't use that product.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't feel good for me.
Right.
And so I'm very selective, and I understand it because so much of my platform is like authenticity. Like,
Yes.
this is the real Sarah. This is really what's happening in my fucking house, and this is what's going on. And if I don't stick with that, it doesn't feel good for me.
Yeah.
And I feel like one of the, I don't know if it's, I guess one of the privileges of midlife, I feel like, is we've earned this right to do whatever the fuck we want and just be authentic to ourselves. And I think for me, the authenticity factor is the most important.
Yeah.
It's like, who are you?
Yeah.
And I think
no
that
bullshit.
and I think that that's why people, look at my Instagram or listen to my podcast. Like, I might not be for everyone, but
You're for me. I love you.
I
And that's
love you
why I'm
too.
sitting here. I mean, like, there's just such.
It's like, I'm going to tell you like the good stuff. I'm going to tell you the shitty stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest. Like, okay, like today was a good day. I like worked out. I took my vitamin D. I did all of my bullshit. And like tomorrow,
Might eat carbs again all day. I don't know. I might have that third glass of wine, which sends me into a carb-loaded day. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think not only, to your point, like, we've earned the right, but I think most importantly, Sarah, we've gained the confidence to not care.
Yeah.
I don't care. I care a lot, but I don't care if I'm not for you. You don't care if you're not. I am no bullshit. Moving forward. Here's who I am. Here's who you are.
Has that changed your friendships in midlife? Like, have you become more selective with?
Definitely. I am extremely selective about who I hang around. And I talk about this a lot, but the company you keep is everything. It is everything. Who are you sitting across from? How does that person make you feel? What are they bringing to the conversation? What are you bringing to the friendship? Reciprocity does have to be there. I think you can have friends for different reasons, but I do think the common thread of all friends, they have to have your back. I will not sit down with someone anymore who I have to watch what I say, or I can't tell them some part of my life because I'm nervous they're going to tell somebody else, or I'm done with that. I trust my friends. I trust the people who are in my life, and I love them, and I take my friendships very seriously, and I'm extremely loyal, and I've never told a secret. I've never, and I've taught my daughters that the way to keep friends is to keep the confidence, and don't ever have pleasure in talking bad about someone or gossiping, or I'm like, yeah, so the company you keep is everything. And as Will Smith said, like them or not, but are the people in your life putting logs on your fire, or are they pissing on it? Like, bye.
Yeah.
And you have to do the same for them.
Yeah.
But the company you keep is everything. I believe it is everything.
I just feel like we've already done middle school.
Success.
We've already done high school.
Yeah.
I mean, you have 3 daughters. I have 1 daughter. The girl vibe is just so different from the boy vibe. It's like the boy vibe, like with my son, it's like, yeah, you can come sit with us. Like different kids showing up at the house. It's like anything goes. Girls, it's just so much more divided. And I don't know what that is. But my hope is that most women, by the time they get to our age or to midlife, they feel comfortable. They feel like they could sit down at any table or sit down at a table alone and be good with that. Because guess what? I am. Like my daughter said, "Oh, are you going to this event? Are you going to go with someone?" I'm like, "No, I'm going by myself."
Yeah.
And I said, I'm actually like you, like to my daughter, I'm like you, Maren, like I can show up somewhere by myself and be very comfortable with that.
Me too.
But not everyone can say that, and I feel like that has been one of my like midlife sort of privileges to myself is like, I'm okay with whatever comes.
Yeah. Me too. I've always been comfortable, I think, going in a room alone. I've traveled a lot in my past career, and always comfortable going to a restaurant by myself, sitting by myself eating. However, one time I was in London and I sat at a bar and had dinner, and I was being approached by all these different men. I was like, wow, I must look good tonight, right? Can I buy you a drink? Do you want to come to dinner with me? Do you want to go out later? I'm like, whoa, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like thinking, that's all right. No, I'm married, but thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I get on the train the next day to go to this conference I had to go to outside of London. And I was telling this group of people, well, last night I was kind of like the belle of the ball at the bar. And they're like, well, Wendy, that's where all the prostitutes hang out. Oh my God. I'm like, I could have made a lot of money last night.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
Wendy.
but anyway, just a side note,
Yeah.
funny story. But yeah, I've always been comfortable with that. And I think I'm good at self-advocating in a lot of ways, but I'm bad at self-promotion, and I want to talk about that too. But I think that because I put up a picture of myself because I'd been sent something or whatever, and sometimes I do trade like a blazer, like whatever, and but then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna put it up, and like I need to get better about that. But I love what Adam Grant said. I just caught this snippet of him, and he said, there's a very big difference. Now I'm going on another tangent, but there's a very big difference between self-promotion and promoting ideas.
Yeah,
idea
I saw
promotion.
that.
And I love that. And that just that resonated with me, because even my style posts, they're just ideas. It's not me going, hey, look at me.
It helps
in
with
my
the
thing.
notion of imposter syndrome.
It does. But what I was going to say is, I think because we feel this way, because we can walk in a room alone or go sit and have dinner, or we have to share that with you, with all these people, because it helps, and we can be like a beacon for a lot of women, and share ways to build confidence, to, learn to kick your asshole friends to the curb, or whatever it might be, because we're good at that. So
I agree with you. And I also think there are times when you're doing uncomfortable things. You're saying yes to things that maybe you don't 100%, not that you philosophically disagree with, but like sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to that event, but I know that I'm going to meet someone great. Like the event that I went to and I met you. Like I met like amazing people that day.
Totally.
Is it far away? Is it a pain in the ass to get to? Yes, all the things. But sometimes when you take that chance and you go that extra mile and you do show up, like it's like synchronicity, sliding doors. You meet this person, then this happens and this happens. And so many of us are craving novelty and change. But that can't happen unless we're putting ourselves in those situations.
That's right. And moments like that event have changed my life. They've changed the course of what I'm doing, the friendships I've made from things where I've just gone, okay, I'm just going to go, and then the doors are closing, the dinner's over, and I start talking to, years and years ago, I started talking to Elise Lunan, who's become one of my close friends, right? Like, it's like, what are the odds? Like, what, it just, yes, forcing yourself through that. But I think what we have by being able to go places alone, by forcing is we're open, right? There's an openness to people who do that. We're not closed. We're open. We're open for business. We're open for new friendships. And I used to be sort of anti-new friendship, because I have friends of 40 years, 30 years, right? That I like to take care of these friendships, and do I have enough energy? But what I've learned is it gives you more energy. And the past 6 or 7 years, I've been really open to look,
me too,
you and me right here, right? And what that gives you, but you have to stay open. It doesn't mean you have to do everything.
It doesn't mean you have to say yes to everything.
We say no to 90% of things, but But
it's like there are certain things where you're like, I'm going to push myself, and I'm going to fly to New York, and I'm going to go to this thing, and I'm going to whatever. And you pick and choose, and sometimes things work out great, and sometimes you're like, oh, that was kind of like, eh. And that's okay.
That's okay. But
we teach our kids that too. It's
that's
like,
right.
I always say to my kids, like, oh, do you want to take a painting class? Do you want to play soccer? But we don't put those same standards on ourselves of like trying the new thing.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
And you have to be willing to take those risks.
Yeah. And trying new things is important. Doesn't mean you have to stick with them, but I mean, since you brought up trying new things, as we age, I think we've got to push ourselves.
I know, I'm not good at trying new things.
And I've been really bad at it as of late. I was really good, and then the past couple of years I've just been not. But I'm gonna start trying new things again. And someone just asked me if you could have one talent, that you don't have, and I thought I don't say I can't anymore. So I said, I want to dance. I want to learn how to dance. I want to be like, Juliana Hough and Amanda I watch them dance. I'm like, and who's that guy? The Jason Williams project.
I mean,
I can't. And I just swoon and I just watch these dances and think, I want to dance. But the old me would have said to this question, I can't dance. But yeah, I can. You can do whatever you want to do. I mean,
you may not be really amazing
within
at
reason.
It, but you can
What
do
are you
it.
saying? I've got moves. No, so I but go try new things. So I'm looking at my daughter. My littlest just started dance, and I'm like, I might take a hip hop class. I might hate it. They may laugh me out of the room, but go try.
Yeah.
Go try things. Try new things.
I don't want to forget to ask you this because I know that you and I share this and a lot of women share this, but empty nest. This fly is eating me. Empty nest. How has that been for you?
Well, I do have the 9-year-old.
You have the 9-year-old, but the two older ones that have taken up most of your adult life are gone now.
Hard. I hate it. And they were both just home for Christmas. And then, one's first year in college, one's going to finish college soon. And so this was the first holiday they were home at the same time, which was amazing. But I was like, oh my God, that means they're going to leave at the same time. And not only is it hard for me, but their little sister is in a puddle. She just wants them around all the time, And so that puts a whole other level of sadness on it for me. But my oldest just sent me a meme of this mother sort of flat out on a table, like with some Air Supply song playing, because her kids and she goes, this is so my mom, and I try to be strong. But it's really hard. It's really hard, but there just comes a time, and I'm so proud of them. And I know what amazing people they are, that I've let go of these two incredibly strong, far stronger than me, and definitely than I was at that age, and smart and capable and kind and giving and wonderful humans. So I try to just think about that. I've still got a long way to go with a 9-year-old, and I'm going to be 56 in a few weeks.
That is just some crazy shit.
That just exhausts
and
you hearing about it.
And 3 daughters.
I know, my friend was
I just want to crawl under a table. I have
2 girl dogs, 3, but my poor husband.
I have 1 daughter, and that's enough for me.
Yeah.
That's a lot of estrogen.
It's
me,
a lot.
her together, woo, and I have a good one.
Yeah. I've got good ones too, and it's been like, but my 21-year-old is really coming to how old's your daughter?
My daughter's 17. My son
17.
is just left for college in August. He's 19.
Okay. I know. And boys and their mamas. I had all brothers. And then I had all girls. I thought for sure I was going to have all boys, but you go through some stuff with your daughters for sure. And it's hard. But my 21-year-old and my 19-year-old, but 21's different. I've seen a switch go on into adulthood, and she's just softened, and she's coming out of that, sort of the twisted tornadoes that are going on, the frontal lobes.
Oh,
maybe not flapping quite as much anymore.
Did I look at you the wrong way
this
morning?
Exactly.
What? I just walked into the room. Last night I was chewing, and my teeth hit the fork accidentally. That was really disturbing for her. Yeah, that sent her almost over the edge.
How dare you breathe?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, so I'll just go eat my pasta in the other room if you want, or you can just take a chill pill and let me finish.
They grow out of it, and then they're so beyond into you and committed to you, and she is now. It's just that, We're their place. They know we're never going to not love them.
Oh,
They
my
know we're never
God.
going to not leave them, so they can come home and be whoever
Oh
they
my
want.
God, my daughter
Take it out
handed
on
me
you.
my ass last night, like chewing on the fork. And then 2 seconds later, she walks in my room and she's like asking me, oh, tomorrow can you do this, this, and this? I'm like, you just handed me my ass
Exactly.
2 seconds ago.
Or I love it that after they hand you your ass and then they come in, Mommy?
Yeah.
I'm like, why, what? What do you want? How much do you
Yeah,
need?
she's like, you know those eye drops that I've needed for my dry eyes? Like they're sold out everywhere. Can you find them tomorrow? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're nice.
Let me give you another.
Like try to like turn on the charm, fake it to make it if you
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
Okay, marriage in empty nest. How's that?
That's also been an adjustment.
I know.
But we have the 9-year-old again. So I don't know if I'm the best example. I definitely feel the empty nest deeply with the second one gone. But we've still got the 9-year-old. We've got dance and lacrosse. And, we're still doing all that. So kind of keeps us busy. I think, well, by the time she leaves, we're both going to be on crab walkers. Like,
Don't worry, I'll come visit you.
I don't know. Exactly. I'm going to be at her high school graduation. Like, oh, there's my mom. Great. So, but it's fine. Everything's adjustment. Like I said earlier today, you got to be comfortable with loss or you're not going to be comfortable and
or
successful.
Or just change.
Well, change and loss.
Yeah.
Or you're never going to be comfortable aging. You're never going to be
I think one of my biggest takeaways in midlife thus far, which I try to convey to as many women as I can because I feel like it took me too long to learn it, is realizing that no one is coming to save you.
That's right.
And if you're looking for an answer on Instagram or Google or a friend or a spouse or whatever, someone's going to come to you and be like, I have this great idea to make your life better. It's never happening.
No.
And if you want something, you have to create it for yourself.
Yes, you do. And you can take bits and pieces from other people.
Oh, yeah.
And build your own
totally.
blueprint.
But if you think there's going to be an answer, and I think a lot of us think that there's going to be an answer, like an easy way to work out, an easy way to find
a
hobby.
$600 cream that, is total snake oil and bullshit in a jar.
Yeah.
That's never going to make your neck tighter. Sorry.
I don't know. I always say, like, I think I secretly, like, wish that my husband was going to be like, okay, so the kids are older, and I've been thinking it would be really great for you to start a podcast. No, like, he's busy with his own life, doing his own career, playing golf, and he has like 4,000 fucking hobbies. He's like the hobbyist.
That's
I'm like,
my
you got to
husband.
cut down on the hobbies. You're killing me.
Exactly.
You're making me look like I have like no brain capacity. I'm like, oh my God. But I think I secretly hope for him to rescue me from boredom.
Yeah.
And irrelevance and feeling like what's next for me. And I think I wish I had known sooner that it was all on me. And that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Self-responsibility is a good thing. We teach it to our children. But I think sometimes by the time we get to midlife, we've been so focused on our kids and making their lives the best we possibly can that sometimes we've kind of like put ourselves a little bit on the back burner. And then it's sort of like,
kind of.
Well, some people, people are better at it than others. But I think there's a certain point where you're just like, you know what? I have to take responsibility for this. No one is coming to work out for me. No one is going to think of a passion hobby for me. No one's going to create a
There's no youth in a jar.
Yeah.
There's no fountain of youth.
Yeah. And it's not to be negative. It's just to say, hey guys, like it's a lot of fucking work and we're all doing it and we're all in this together. I mean, there are some days I wake up and I'm like, I can't do my podcast for one more minute. It's so hard. It's so many things. It's so much responsibility. And then the next day I wake up, I'm like, I fucking love my podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I have 6 guests coming up. And that's the thing is that knowing everything is temporary. Your feelings of like, oh, temporary, whether it's a day, a week, a month, a few months, they're going to come and go.
That's right. All of it.
What's your biggest piece of advice for midlife women before we wrap up?
Midlife is an interesting word to me now.
I know,
because
it's
I'm
so
sitting here.
frumpity
I'm
lumpity.
56. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to live to 112. So I think I'm like way past it. Midlife, sadly, can be 25. It can be, So I think I think about that a lot. I think about that word.
I
And
hate that word, but
yeah,
the only reason I stuck with it is I was trying to come up with other terms like second half of life, blah, blah, blah. And then
yeah.
I was like, you know what? Most people know what midlife is. So I'm just going to stick with that because it's searchable. I
And
don't mean
it's
Google.
searchable.
It's
No, no,
not
no. I
only
mean,
Google searchable, but kind of like people catch it.
you can grasp it. You can grasp it
Yeah.
because it's empty nest, divorce, menopause, all these things happen
Vagina
in midlife.
rebuilds.
Vagina rebuilds, all this stuff, good and bad. So I think, and I say this a lot, and I'm going to get to your question, but that I am not doing my job, and I am not doing my job if I am not reaching back to younger generations of women saying, come on, guys, like, and giving them something to look forward to and not dread. I think that's my biggest, I want to leave that legacy. I want to help younger women. Yes, everything is focused on sort of our age, my age, but I think the most important thing we can do is pave the way and, sort of be pioneers in this space for the girls and the women coming up behind us. My biggest advice is, I do like that, what you said, no one's coming for you. Just know that no one's coming for you. And stop trying to be happy all the time because it's not attainable, it's not possible. Look for the peace, embrace the change scientifically with your body, embrace. And that doesn't mean don't get your frown lines
Or your vagina
or your
fixed.
vagina tightened up, but be okay with
I've
the
wanted
change
to drink water. I'm like dying.
the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just try to find some peace. Hang around with good people. Hang around with good people.
I feel like midlife is hard and good.
Just like your podcast episode.
Yeah. And I feel like with people like us and all the people that we meet, and knowing that you're not alone. And I think that that's why our platforms resonate with women, because it's like, wait a second, me too. Like, I get so many comments on my Instagram that are like, oh my God, did you read my mind today?
Yeah.
Like, that's how I'm feeling.
Exactly.
That's
Same.
exactly how
Yeah.
I'm feeling. And so many women write to me and they're like, thank you. Like, thank you for making me not feel like I'm the only one.
Yeah.
Feeling like my vagina's falling off, my husband's annoying me, my kids are driving me insane.
I've had 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
don't
function.
feel like-
My eyes are burning.
Yeah.
I can't move. Yeah.
Like,
all
I
of
have
it.
dry mouth. What's happening here? All the things. And I think our biggest goal for us in this midlife space right now is giving women that kind of relatability ticket of like, me
That's
too. We may not have the solutions, but just knowing that you're normal
Yeah.
is like half the battle, I feel like.
I agree. And the last thing I'll say, because I know we need to wrap up, is I would tell younger women, women my age, anyone, that failure is your greatest tool. I'm not scared of that word. I've told my daughters never be scared. I've told my daughters never be scared of that word, but fail, learn, pivot fast, and keep moving. It's going to happen to you your whole life.
And no one gives a shit except for you.
And no one gives a rat's ass. No one.
Yeah. If other people have time to sit around and think and talk about you, they need a job.
They need something.
Something needs to happen.
Yeah.
Self-work, whatever, because
Exactly.
life is already hard and complicated enough to be, worrying about yourself and your own family, that to be worrying about what other people are doing, like,
No
like,
comparison.
way. Okay, Wendy Euler. I love you.
I love you too.
I'm so happy
Thanks for
you
having
came from
me.
Montana. I'm so happy you were our
I'm
first.
so
like,
honored to
film
be
in
the first in
person.
person. Yeah, in person.
And where can we find you?
Well, Instagram is Goodbye Crop Top. And my podcast is called Cropped a Midlife Minute, available on all platforms.
So
Yeah.
good. You guys, Wendy Euler.
Thanks for having me.
Goodbye Crop
good.
Top. Loved having her. So happy you're here. We're going to have to do this again soon. Hopefully.
We'll get you to Montana.
Yeah. I can't say I'm going to have my vagina put back together because I had C-section.
Yours is intact. What are you talking
But
about?
maybe my boo. I don't know. There could be something in
Something.
order. You never know.
Yeah, that's right. Same.
Open to change, open to transformation. Thanks, you guys. I'm so happy you've gotten time to hang out with Wendy.
Thanks, everyone.
There is a mourning period. And it's okay to mourn whatever it is. It's okay to mourn the maiden when you become a mother. And it's okay to mourn the motherhood when you become a woman again whose time has been spoken for. And to have your own time.